Chapter 1595. Everyone drinks from Lin Yi's perspective. Pin Liang used to be a brainless student, but he disappeared for a while until Zhang Naipeo showed up. Lin Yi realized that Pin Liang had been hiding this whole time. This guy wasn't like what he looked like on the surface. He'd actually sent Zhang Naipeo up the mountain to learn martial arts, and that meant that he was determined to deal with Lin Yi. So it was a joke to say that he'd defuse the situation now. When Xiaofu was pouring the wine, the jade on Lin Yi's chest sent out a weak warning signal. This made Lin Yi feel that there was a trap here. But this weak signal also indicated that there would be some danger, but it wouldn't be too big. Otherwise, the jade's warning wouldn't be so weak. Lin Yi raised the glass and sniffed. A strong smell of alcohol assaulted his nostrils. The alcohol content of this wine was definitely much higher than the white wine they'd been drinking. Lin Yi looked at the bottle in Xiaofu's hand again. It was no different from the wine they'd been drinking. Lin Yi understood immediately. Pin Liang might really be at his wit's end, so he decided to use a friendly method to trip Lin Yi up, trying to get him drunk with a high alcohol content white wine. His goal was clear as well. He wanted Lin Yi to make a fool of himself. As for whether or not there was something wrong with the wine, Lin Yi hadn't considered it. With Lin Yi's medical skills, there was nothing special about the wine other than the high alcohol content. It was Pin Liang's idea to change the alcohol in the bottle to something with a high alcohol content. Zhang Naipeo had said that the medicine was colorless, odorless and odorless. Masters under Earth class wouldn't be able to detect it, but Pin Liang was still worried that Lin Yi would get suspicious, so he asked Xiaofu to change the low alcohol content white wine to a high alcohol content white wine. As far as Pin Liang was concerned, Lin Yi wasn't an idiot. If he toasted him for no reason, Lin Yi would definitely be suspicious and even refuse. But if he did something to the wine and made Lin Yi think that he was trying to set him up, then Lin Yi might actually believe him. One had to admit that Pin Liang's intelligence was on a whole different level compared to before. He had the ability to think in reverse. St. Hall 7 asterisk. And so, Pin Liang really did get what he wanted. It wasn't that Lin Yi was careless, but the medicine was provided by an ancient sect. No matter how good Lin Yi was, his medical skills were only at the top of the common world. In the common world he could still be called a miracle doctor, but in the hidden world even someone like Yao Wang could compete with Lin Yi. And so Lin Yi didn't notice anything else in the wine. He raised his glass and said, "If that's the case then I'll drink this." St. Hall. Great. Pin Liang laughed and raised his glass as well, drinking it in front of Lin Yi. "I say, Pin Liang, I saw that the wine in your glass was half a glass, wasn't it? That's not nice, is it?" Lin Yi said faintly, not drinking the wine. "Ah." Pin Liang paused. He really didn't notice whether his glass was half or full. "Then I'll drink another?" He was in a hurry to get Lin Yi to drink the drugged wine, so he was in a hurry. He would rather drink another glass himself. In fact, his glass was full before and Lin Yi was just teasing him. Lin Yi couldn't drink such a high alcohol content wine himself and let Pin Liang take advantage of it, could he? Lin Yi was never one to let others take advantage of him, so Lin Yi planned to let Pin Liang have a taste of high alcohol content wine. If they were to get drunk, they'd get drunk together. Besides, Lin Yi wouldn't get drunk at all. This level of alcohol content was worlds apart from old Lin's wine. "Alright Fu, fill it up for Pin Liang. I can tell that Pin Liang is a straightforward person," Lin Yi said. Xiaofu was holding the drugged wine in his hand. He was waiting for Lin Yi to finish before pouring another glass for Lin Yi. Who would have thought that Lin Yi would ask him to pour for Pin Liang? Pin Liang, on the other hand, was stunned. What should he do? He couldn't ask Xiaofu to change the bar now, could he? That would be too obvious. Wouldn't it be the same as admitting that he had drugged Lin Yi's wine? Xiaofu held the bottle in his hand, unable to back down. Pin Liang gritted his teeth. There must be prostitutes in this resort. After he was done drinking, he'd just have to find a prostitute to take care of it. That wouldn't be a problem. At that thought, Pin Liang said, "Fu, what are you waiting for? Fill it up." "Ah, okay." Xiaofu nodded and poured the wine for Pin Liang. Just when he thought that everything was fine, Lin Yi spoke up again. "Fu, we've had some conflicts in the past, right? Since this is the time, you should have a cup too. 1 cup of wine and we'll forget about the grudge." "Huh." Xiaofu was helpless, but seeing that Pin Liang was pouring the wine, he had no reason to refuse. He had no choice but to pour himself another glass. It was impossible to change the bottle under the watchful eyes of the crowd. And so the three of them raised their glasses, and with a smile they were all poisoned. Fortunately, the effects of the drug had a time limit. When it didn't take effect, nothing happened. He was no different from a normal person. So Pinliang forced a smile and ate with everyone. To be honest, a glass of high alcohol content was nothing to someone like Pinliang, whose family owned a nightclub. He started drinking in middle school so he wouldn't get drunk so easily. Xiaofu, on the other hand, was his usual drinking partner, so he didn't get drunk either. But what they were worried about now was, what should they do about the poison? They had to find a way to vent it. They had a plan later. They had to watch Lin Yi flirt with Meng Yao and ruin Lin Yi's reputation. The banquet was over and Pinliang distributed the room cards to the students. We've just finished eating and everyone drank quite a bit. Go back to your rooms and rest. We'll gather at the resort's lobby at 9. I've booked the entertainment room and we'll all go have some fun. Pinliang said. Fu and I can't hold our liquor, so we'll be going first. No problem. The group took their room cards and went back to their rooms. Lin Yi's room card, however, was for a 3-person suite with Meng Yao and Yushu. What was Pinliang trying to do by putting him with Meng Yao and Yushu? Lin Yi was a little surprised. It was normal for guys to share a room with guys and girls to share a room with girls. What was Pinliang trying to do? But Pinliang and Xiaofu were already far away. Chapter 1596. Chapter 1595. Bad idea. Lin Yi didn't ask any questions, and went back to his room with Meng Yao and Yushu. They lived under the same roof back at home after all, so it wouldn't be awkward to sleep in the same room. Liang bro, didn't we say we'd find a reason to send Yushu away? Why aren't you doing it? Xiaofu asked on the way back to his room. We don't have time, you idiot. We're both drugged and it's about to act up. We need to get back to our rooms and find a lady to take care of it. Otherwise we won't have time to catch Lin Yi in the act. Pinliang said. Yeah, you're right. Xiaofu nodded. But Pao said that the drug's too strong, and even if Yushu's willing, Meng Yao's definitely not. When Lin Yi and Xiaofu do it together, let's take a picture together, it'll be fun. That's right, Xiaofu's gotten smarter recently. Pinliang nodded. On the way back to his room, Lin Yi felt that something wasn't right. His body was starting to heat up. With Lin Yi's medical skills, he could tell that this wasn't a sign of him drinking too much, but it was like he'd been drugged with some sort of aphrodisiac. A normal person wouldn't be able to make such a precise judgment, but Lin Yi didn't know how he'd been poisoned, but he knew the symptoms after being poisoned like the back of his hand. Not good. Lin Yi sighed inwardly. He'd been careless and there had to be something in that glass of wine. The only thing Lin Yi could think of was that glass of wine, but Lin Yi had purposely checked the quality of the wine. There shouldn't be any drugs in it, and Lin Yi was worried that he'd let Pinliang and Xiaofu drink a glass each. That was why Lin Yi had dared to drink it. He didn't think that these two would risk being poisoned just to let him drink it. What was their goal then? Looking at Meng Yao and Yushu beside him, Lin Yi could roughly guess Pinliang's plan. He probably wanted Meng Yao or Yushu to have sex with him, so he could ruin his or Meng Yao's reputation. This kind of trick seemed very ordinary, but if it was done properly, it could produce unexpected results. As for Shu, he was confident that she wouldn't react if he pushed her down, but the miss. It was hard to say. Pinliang might have figured this out, and that was why he came up with this plan. If the miss resisted, Pinliang could record the scene and announce that Lin Yi was a rapist. Even if Meng Yao denied it, Lin Yi's reputation would be greatly affected. Pinliang couldn't do anything to Lin Yi with Zhang Naipeo, and since there was nothing else he could do, it wasn't a bad idea to annoy Lin Yi. Most importantly, everyone was drunk and he could deny that he was the one who did it, pushing all the blame away. What a smart guy. But Lin Yi was a medical expert and he didn't mind the aphrodisiac. He could cure himself with acupuncture, but Pinliang and Gao Xiaofu, how were they going to deal with it? Lin Yi suddenly thought of this problem and a weird smile appeared on his face. He took out his phone and called Zhou Ruoming. Hiyashi Lin. What can I do for you? Zhou Ruoming was sleeping at home when he heard his phone ringing. He didn't want to pick it up and was about to hang it up when he saw Lin Yi's name on the caller ID. It scared him awake and he quickly picked up the phone. He was a little scared. If he had hung up the phone, he and the Zhou family would have been in trouble. Tiandi Resort is your family's property, right? Lin Yi asked. Templar Web. Yes, what can I do for you, Hayashi Lin? Zhou Ruoming was startled. Could it be that the general manager of Tiandi Resort offended Lin Yi? Zhou Ruoming wanted to curse. What trouble? I can't even wait to serve Lin Yi, and you still want to cause trouble for me? It's nothing. Do you have prostitutes here? Lin Yi asked. Yes. Hayashi Lin needs them. Zhou Ruoming relaxed when he heard that no one offended Lin Yi. Thank goodness nothing happened. I'll call the manager here. Tell him that there's no prostitutes tonight. Don't let them in even if they call from outside, Lin Yi said to Zhou Ruoming. I mean, can you do it seriously? Don't worry, Hayashi Lin. I'll do it now. Although Zhou Ruoming didn't know what Lin Yi meant, he didn't need to know. He would do whatever Lin Yi asked him to do. As long as he made Lin Yi happy, everything would be fine. After hanging up the phone, Zhou Ruoming called the manager of the resort urgently and told him what Lin Yi meant. In the end he threatened, I tell you, if you do it well I will reward you. If you mess it up I won't forgive you. It's not that simple. If anything happens to me I will drag you to hell with me. The manager's heart almost dropped out of his chest when he heard Ruoming's words. He had the backing of House So and they were all gangsters. If that was the case then he'd have to get this done. Ruoming didn't want to let House So off the hook. Thus, the manager of the resort had his men gather all the prostitutes together and lock them in the conference room, afraid that they would take private jobs. Then he ordered all the security guards to close the door of the resort and not receive any guests. The purpose was to prevent a prostitute from sneaking in. Speaking of which, this reason was a little funny, but the resort's experience was carried out meticulously. It was a little confusing. Pin Liang and Xiaofu went back to their room and called the service desk, asking them to send 2 girls up. We're a legitimate resort, we don't do this kind of illegal business. Please forgive us, sir. Pin Liang and Xiaofu said, we're a legitimate resort, we don't do such illegal business, fuck. Zhong Pingliang was about to explode. Who were they trying to fool? When he first chose this resort as the gathering place, it was also because he had played here before. At that time he had found a few prostitutes. So Zhong Pingliang thought that the person at the front desk was new. He said, get your lobby manager to call me. What do we do, Liang bro? Is there really no such business here? What should we do? Gao Xiaofu panicked when he heard that. Don't worry, I know their lobby manager. Heibao bro and I used to play here often. Zhong Pingliang said, missing Heibao bro. Sigh, I wonder how Heibao bro is doing. Chapter 1597. Yeah, we should go visit Heibao bro one day. Xiaofu nodded sadly. Heibao bro is a loyal follower of House Zhong, we can't let him down. Pin Liang said that, but he was thinking that Heibao was still useful to them. Truth be told, Heibao's crimes weren't that serious, and he would one day be released from prison. He'd still be useful then. Heibao's identity as the disciple of the everyday sect was enough to make Nai Peo an inner disciple. This was a power that couldn't be underestimated. Heibao's strength wasn't much, but his connections were. And so Pin Liang thought that it'd be easier for him to talk to the everyday sect's leader in the future. Then we'll go visit him in a few days? Xiaofu asked. Sure, but we need to solve the problem in front of us first. Pin Liang's mouth was dry and his body was burning up. It was unbearable. Fortunately, it wasn't long before the manager called. Pin Liang introduced himself to the manager. The manager knew Pin Liang and knew that he was the one paying for this event. He was very polite to Pin Liang. Young Master Zhong, may I know why you're looking for me? Manager Zhong, hurry up and get me 2 girls, pretty ones. We'll talk about the rest later. Pin Liang was burning with lust. He didn't want to waste time with the manager. Young Master Zhong, that's not easy. Our resort doesn't provide this kind of service right now. Manager Zhong remembered Master Ming's orders. He wouldn't dare get Pin Liang any girls. Bullshit. My family runs a nightclub too, of course I know that. I still have them the last time I came, hurry up. Cut the crap. Pin Liang panicked after hearing the manager's words. Young Master Zhong, we really don't have them. The CEO emphasized this before and we're starting to shift our business to legitimate businesses. We don't provide this kind of service anymore. Manager Zhong didn't want to offend Pin Liang. After all, Pin Liang was a big customer here and he was in the same line of work as Fabai. Then get me 2 girls from outside, hurry up. Pin Liang couldn't take it anymore. Young Master Zhong. I'm sorry, we don't have any contact information. Why don't you go out and look for it yourself? Manager Zhong said euphemistically. Since he couldn't get the miss into the resort, he could only ask Pin Liang to move out of the resort. If he went out, he'd have nothing to do with the resort. But Pin Liang wasn't in the mood to look for it. He couldn't wait any longer, and he was unfamiliar with this place. Where was he going to find it? Even if he found two from his own nightclub, it would take more than an hour of driving. It would be too late. Pin Liang was filled with hatred. Was there something wrong with this resort? He even turned to the legitimate industry. Of all times, it had to turn now. What about him and Gao Xiaofu? Damn it. I'm never coming to this place again. I've decided to be Shield Bro's small wife anyway. Yushu didn't care about Mingyao's reaction and continued. Mingyao was speechless. But in her heart, Yushu's words stirred up an inexplicable ripple. She didn't know what to feel. If you like this work, you are welcome to vote for me at Chidian. Your support is my greatest motivation. Target equals underweight. Chapter 1598. Chapter 1597, Inner Struggle. If Shu wasn't here, would Lin Yi be with her if he couldn't handle it? Mengyao suddenly had a faint anticipation in her heart, but at the same time she felt that her thoughts were too ridiculous. She didn't even like him and he liked Tang Yun. But, did he really not like her? Yao Yao, what's wrong? Yushu looked at the weird expression on Mingyao's face and asked curiously. Holy Holno. Nothing. Mengyao shook her head, dispelling her unrealistic thoughts. Then, should I go help? Yushu asked impatiently. Don't cause trouble. Lin Yi said that he has a solution. Mengyao didn't know why, but she didn't want Yushu to go over. Lin Yi was stabbing the acupuncture points all over his body, but Lin Yi heard the conversation between Mengyao and Yushu very clearly. Lin Yi smiled bitterly, trying his best not to think about those evil thoughts. Towards Yao Yao and Shu, Lin Yi naturally liked them. Humans weren't plants, how could they be emotionless? Plus, they'd lived together for so long and they had a strange feeling for each other. Although Tang Yun had more or less acquiesced to the Miss and Shu's existence, Lin Yi really couldn't tell what they were thinking. The Miss's feelings seemed to be right, but they weren't. Website. Under Yushu's silly passion, it was hard to tell what was real and what was fake. Plus, Lin Yi already had Tang Yun and Xiao Xiao. If something really happened with the Miss or Shu here, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to get past himself. Even if he wanted to do it, Lin Yi would ask for Tang Yun's opinion first. This was the most basic respect. Lin Yi couldn't do whatever he wanted just because of Tang Yun's connivance. However, Lin Yi soon discovered that the method of detoxification with silver needles didn't seem to have any effect on him. His body temperature was still rising. The drug's effects seemed to have taken effect, but Lin Yi didn't show any signs of reversing. His heart grew stronger and stronger, causing Lin Yi's expression to become even more ferocious and terrifying. However, Lin Yi still maintained his rationality. He sat cross-legged on the ground and asked Jiao Yazi anxiously, Jiao Lao, what should I do now? The situation seems to be very serious. Why don't you try using your Jinqi to dissolve it? Jiao Yazi thought for a moment and said, your energy is an all-purpose energy. Can you see if you can convert this energy to reduce the medicinal effects in your body? All right. Lin Yi nodded and entered the space of the jade pendant. He activated the art of dragon mastery and used the energy in the space to neutralize the aphrodisiac poison in his body. However, what surprised Lin Yi was that it seemed to have some effect. However, the aphrodisiac's effects seemed to be extremely overbearing. Every bit of it he refined required a large amount of energy to enter his body. However, this was still better than nothing. Lin Yi had time. In another room of the resort, Zhong Pingliang and Gao Xiaofu were panting and sweating from exhaustion. Liang bro, I can't do it either. My arm is about to break. Gao Xiaofu said with a bitter face, Pao's medicine is a little too overbearing, isn't it? Who said it wasn't? My arm is about to break too, but we need to work harder. Think about Lin Yi. We need to hurry or it'll be meaningless if we're late. Zhong Pingliang said, let's sing a song, let's work harder. Sing? What song? Gao Xiaofu asked. Weibo, sing with me, 1 2 3, ready? Ready. Calabash Brothers. Calabash Brothers. Zhong Pingliang sang loudly. And so they started singing in the washroom and the two were full of energy. Lin Yi's energy and the medicine clashed, and under the pain white steam came out of his forehead. It was so hot that Lin Yi was smoking. Yao Yao, it's bad, Shield Bro's on fire. Yushu saw the white steam coming out of Lin Yi's forehead and screamed. "Oh. What should we do?" Meng Yao was also shocked. Should we turn the air conditioner to the max? Yushu quickly found the remote control and turned the air conditioner to the max. But even with the air conditioner turned on, the steam on Lin Yi's forehead didn't decrease at all. It was still coming out of his forehead. "Why don't we find 2 fans and fan him? It'll cool him down a little?" Yushu said after seeing that the air conditioner wasn't working. Meng Yao, on the other hand, was in a desperate situation. There were plantain fans in the hotel room, and she and Yushu each took a fan and started fanning Lin Yi's left and right sides. He saw what Meng Yao and Yushu were doing, but it didn't have much effect. However, Lin Yi didn't have the energy to talk anymore. He was gritting his teeth and using his qi to neutralize the medicine in his heart. Energy gathered around Lin Yi's body, rushing into his body at an unbelievable speed. However, as it fought against the effects of the drug, the energy dissipated into nothingness. This speed of energy absorption made Lin Yi speechless. Even when he broke through, he didn't need this much energy, did he? But neutralizing this medicine did require this much energy. It was unbelievable to Lin Yi, but at the same time he was shocked. Where did this Zhong Pingliang get such a strong medicine? Did Zhang Naipeo give it to him? Now that he thought about it, it wasn't impossible. "Elder Jiao, this medicine is too strong, I can't take it anymore," Lin Yi said bitterly as he absorbed the energy, trying to dissolve the medicine in his body. "Oh, then you do it," Jiao Lao said. "Do it? How do I do it?" Lin Yi asked. 5 against 1. Jiao Lao said. "This medicine looks strong, but since your qi can neutralize it, it means that you don't need to have sex with someone to neutralize it. You can do it with your hands, but judging from how strong the medicine is, it'll take at least an hour or 2. Lin Yi didn't know what to say. Running to the washroom to take a 2-hour flight? What kind of joke was that? It'd be fine if Meng Yao and Yushu weren't here, but they were here. He'd be a laughing stock if he went. What else? Lin Yi asked helplessly. Then you'll have to continue neutralizing it, Jiao Yazi said. With your current strength and the endless energy in the jade space, you can neutralize it, but it'll take some time, as long as I can neutralize it. Lin Yi gritted his teeth and decided to continue neutralizing it. An hour later, Pin Liang and Xiaofu finally solved the problem. Both of them were so tired that they almost collapsed from exhaustion. Currently, both of them couldn't even lift their arms. Chapter 1599. Chapter 1598. Watching a good show. Liang bro, what kind of medicine is this? Why is it so strong? If only I could be as brave as today. Xiaofu said. 7 asterisk, who knows? I'm so tired today. My kidneys aren't good to begin with. This is a trap. Pin Liang said helplessly. That Lin Yi sure is cunning. He made us drink too. But we have to go check on Lin Yi's side right now. We don't know if he succeeded. Okay. Xiaofu put the camera on his back, but the weight of the camera almost collapsed his shoulder. The two quickly left the room. It was almost 9 at night. Pin Liang's heart was filled with regret. If they went now, Lin Yi might have already succeeded. Without Meng Yao's resistance, it would be meaningless. At that thought, Pin Liang's evil thoughts rose. He walked into the lobby of the resort and saw that most of his classmates had rested and were waiting for Pin Liang and Xiaofu in the lobby. Sorry for the wait. Now I'll treat you all to a good show, Pin Liang said to the students in the lobby. Everyone come with me. Pin Liang was going to call everyone to see Lin Yi. Even if Lin Yi succeeded after some hesitation, wouldn't it be embarrassing to be seen by everyone? Plus, Meng Yao wouldn't be able to face the world anymore. However, Pin Liang thought to himself. If he couldn't get what he couldn't get, then no one else could. If he couldn't get Meng Yao, then he'd destroy her reputation. The students didn't know what kind of show Pin Liang was going to treat them to, but they didn't think much about it. They all followed Pin Liang to Lin Yi's room. As far as they were concerned, Pin Liang was the one who arranged this event. Naturally, they would listen to him. When they reached Lin Yi's room, Pin Liang couldn't wait any longer. He slammed into Lin Yi's door. Time was of the essence and he did not want to waste a single second. With a bang, Lin Yi's door flew open, but it wasn't as hard as Pin Liang had imagined. Lin Yi's door wasn't locked at all. Lin Yi went back to his room to train against the poison, and Meng Yao and Yushu, on the other hand, were busy helping Lin Yi dissipate the heat. Neither of them cared if the door was locked or not. Holy Church, and so tragically Zhong Pingliang fell headfirst into the room, falling flat on his face due to inertia. Everyone please look. Xiaofu didn't have time to worry about Pingliang. He was afraid that Lin Yi would come up with a countermeasure, so he quickly asked the students to look into the room. Hence, the scene in the room appeared before everyone's eyes. Meng Yao and Yushu, one on the left and one on the right, were fanning Lin Yi. What is this? A student asked curiously after taking a look. Is there something wrong with you? You want us to look at this? Xiaobo had tagged along as well and was the first to object. Xiaofu was an idiot, wasn't he? Lin Yi was clearly enjoying the fanning of two beauties, and Pingliang was interrupting him. Yeah, what's there to see? Although the students were a little envious of Lin Yi, they didn't think that it was a drama. Wasn't it just fanning? What was there to see? Xiaofu was dumbfounded as well. What was going on? Wasn't Lin Yi supposed to push Meng Yao and Yushu down? Why were the three of them fanning themselves, all neatly dressed? Pingliang got up from the ground, confused as well. No way. Lin Yi was fine. He looked around the room suspiciously, but it didn't seem like anything had happened. Plus, he was sure that if Lin Yi really had something going on with Meng Yao and Yushu, it wouldn't have ended so quickly. He even had his clothes on and was fanning himself. After all, he and Xiaofu used their hands for a long time. How could Lin Yi be so fast? Actually, I wanted to show everyone what a plantain fan is. This plantain fan is the specialty of this resort. Xiaofu said, I just wanted to show everyone how to use this plantain fan. Back then, Flaming Mountain was destroyed with this fan. Boring, boring. The students didn't say much since this event was sponsored by Pingliang, but they still turned around and left without any interest. Are you too crazy? Shield Bro is sleeping, he's resting, why are you guys making a ruckus? Looking at the plantain fan, is your mom the Iron Fan Princess? Yushu knew what was going on when she saw Pingliang and Xiaofu rush in. They were the ones who gave Lin Yi the aphrodisiac, so they came here to catch them in the act. Fortunately, Lin Yi was strong enough to neutralize the drug's effects. Otherwise, he would have been seen naked by these people. I see, then we won't disturb you anymore. We'll be leaving first. Sorry, we just wanted to look at the plantain fan. Xiaofu knew that Yushu wasn't someone to be messed with and Lin Yi was fine. If Lin Yi went crazy, he and Pingliang would be in trouble. Lin Yi even dared to beat up Zhang Naipeo. The two had no choice but to turn around and leave with their tails between their legs. Lin Yi kept his eyes closed and didn't say a word. Everyone thought that Lin Yi was asleep, but in fact, Lin Yi wasn't asleep, he was fighting against the drug. Although Lin Yi heard Pingliang and Naipeo's voices, he ignored them. The drug in his body was getting lesser and lesser, which made Lin Yi heave a sigh of relief. It seemed that his hard work wasn't in vain and there were still results. Finally, as time passed, the drug in Lin Yi's body was getting lesser and lesser. Even if Lin Yi didn't use his qi to refine it, he could still resist it, but Lin Yi still decided to refine it all. After all, this aphrodisiac was different from normal, who knew if there would be any side effects. Thus, Lin Yi continued to use his energy to refine the drug in his body, and finally the drug was completely refined by Lin Yi. Phew. Just as Lin Yi let out a sigh of relief, the next moment, something unbelievable happened. The drug was refined, but the thing that refined the drug was the energy of the jade pendant space. After the drug was refined, it became the qi in Lin Yi's body. Before there was the drug, but Lin Yi didn't notice it, but now that the drug was gone, the extra qi was a little obvious. Moreover, the qi formed by the drug wasn't just a little bit. Lin Yi felt like his meridians were about to explode. He was focused on refining the drug before, so he didn't notice this, but now it was too late. Chapter 1600. Breakthrough. Mystic Queen Peak. Lin Yi felt as if his body was about to explode with a boom. However, Lin Yi was pleasantly surprised after the momentary shock. He was too familiar with this feeling, it was the feeling of breaking through. Lin Yi felt the same every time he broke through, and it was the same this time as well. Lin Yi didn't think that refining the aphrodisiac in his body could help him break through, it was unbelievable. But Lin Yi thought about what happened to Lingshan and he didn't think it was weird anymore. Perhaps Lingshan's breakthrough was because of this? In fact, Lingshan's breakthrough was completely different from Lin Yi's. Lingshan had been suppressing herself at that level for a long time, and suddenly she was stimulated mentally and psychologically, and with the special nature of House Song's arts, she broke through. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was using his energy to refine the medicine. And because there was too much medicine in his body, Lin Yi had to keep refining it, and the qi formed after refining was gathered in Lin Yi's body. Because the aphrodisiac was already in Lin Yi's body, so the qi that was refined was also in Lin Yi's body. This was different from Lin Yi directly absorbing the energy. Directly absorbing it after a certain amount, it couldn't be absorbed anymore. Using the medicine to refine it, although the body couldn't absorb qi anymore, the qi that was refined in his body couldn't be exited. This was also why Lin Yi broke through, becoming a mystic late-phase peak. Fortunately, Lin Yi was different from Yutian and Lingshan. Lin Yi was training in the jade space and he didn't have to worry about his clothes exploding and being seen by Meng Yao and Yushu. Pinliang, you and your men really are my lucky stars, helping me break through 2 levels in a row. Should I thank you? Or should I hate you? Lin Yi muttered to himself, shaking his head with a bitter smile. Pinliang wanted to harm him, but he ended up helping him instead. Lin Yi was just worrying about not being able to break through, but he broke through just like that. Jiao Lao, I broke through just like that? Lin Yi asked with a bitter smile. Templar LVS. Yes, I broke through. Haven't you always wanted to break through? Didn't you get what you wanted? Jiao Yazi smiled lightly. But what is this? Will I be able to use this method to break through in the future? This was the question that Lin Yi was most concerned about. Lin Yi roughly understood the principle of breakthrough, so Lin Yi was thinking whether he could use the same method to break through in the future. Every time you make a breakthrough, it's unimaginable. Jiao Yazi didn't know what to say. I've never heard of many of your breakthrough methods. Who knows if you can do it again next time? In other words, it's possible to try? Lin Yi asked in surprise. Holy Church, I didn't say that. Jiao Yazi shook his head. If I take the aphrodisiac every day, I don't know what's going to happen. That's right. Shu, don't come up with random ideas. Meng Yao thought that it was impossible as well. If they could really break through by taking drugs, wouldn't there be masters everywhere? The 3 walked to the resort's lobby as they conversed. Pinliang, Xiaofu and the other students had already returned to the lobby and were talking to each other. Pinliang and Xiaofu on the other hand saw Lin Yi, Meng Yao and Yushu walking over. Fear flashed across their eyes. If Lin Yi knew that they were behind this, would he do something to them? Isn't this Lin Yi? I'm just waiting for you. Pinliang sighed, putting on a smile as he walked over. We were all here just now, you guys were the only ones left. I was just thinking about looking for you, but you were sleeping. Pinliang came up with an excuse, saying that they had a group activity tonight and Lin Yi was absent, so they went looking for him. Chapter 1601. Oh, didn't you guys go to see the Plantain fan? Lin Yi sneered as he asked indifferently. Ha, that's just a joke. Zhong Pingliang laughed. Lin Yi, since you're here, let's start the next step of the activity? Sure. Lin Yi said indifferently, but I don't know, can you still move your arm? It seems like you're feeling a little weak. Do you need me to help you treat it? You have to know I'm a doctor too. I drank too much just now and my body was burning up, so I gave myself acupuncture and slept for a while. I'm fine now. Lin Yi didn't have the intention to punish Zhong Pingliang right now. After all, if he beat Zhong Pingliang up in front of so many classmates, the reunion wouldn't be able to continue. Pinliang, on the other hand, was harming Lin Yi but benefiting him instead. This way the hatred in Lin Yi's heart towards Zhong Pingliang lessened. A few mocking words were fine. Lin Yi really didn't put a small character like Zhong Pingliang in his eyes now. His subordinate Zhang Naipeo was Lin Yi's true rival. Zhong Pingliang heard Lin Yi's words and his face turned pale. Lin Yi's words were very clear. He knew that he was drugged, but he used acupuncture to solve it. And he also hinted that his arm was weak, so he must have guessed what he did before. This made Zhong Pingliang speechless. I don't need treatment, right? I have rheumatism, it's an old problem. Zhong Pingliang said awkwardly. Oh, Lin Yi smiled weirdly. I was the one who asked the girls here to go home on holiday. The conversation between Lin Yi and Zhong Pingliang seemed to be incoherent. But both of them knew what they were talking about. Zhong Pingliang heard Lin Yi's words. Only then did he understand why he couldn't find the girls before. So it was Lin Yi's doing. Pinliang suddenly remembered that Tiandi Resort was Zhou Tiandi's property, and that Zhou Ruoming was behaving like a grandson in front of Lin Yi. He immediately understood what was going on. Lin Yi had deliberately set him and Gao Xiaofu up. However, even so, he couldn't say a word of grievance. he could only swallow his grievances. Wasn't all of this caused by himself? Fortunately, nothing happened between Mengyao and Lin Yi. He didn't see anything unusual in the room, and Mengyao's gait was normal when she walked in, so he couldn't see anything out of the ordinary. However, Lin Yi admitted that he didn't do anything with Mengyao, which made Pin Liang feel relieved. Although he was jealous that Mengyao couldn't be his girlfriend, he didn't want the goddess in his heart to be tainted by others unless he had no other choice. Since he couldn't mess with Lin Yi, he would just have to think of a way to get intimate with Mengyao. Pin Liang, on the other hand, didn't expect Mengyao to like him. He understood now that Mengyao and Yushu had never liked him. It was Pin Liang's dream to take advantage of Mengyao. Since Lin Yi couldn't take advantage of Mengyao, Pin Liang didn't mind taking advantage of her. Lin Yi's tolerance from before made Pin Liang even more courageous. From what he could see, the reason why Lin Yi didn't attack him was probably because of Naipeo. Naipeo's meridians were all destroyed. However, the second level of the Chrysanthemum Treasured Codex had been unlocked. This was great news. Presumably Lin Yi had also received this news. That was why Lin Yi did not retaliate even after he was drugged with an aphrodisiac. All he did was make a few sarcastic remarks. "So you did it." Pin Liang thought about it and started acting cocky again. "But it's nothing, I'll just treat it as training. Don't you feel good about it?" "Oh right, I really have to thank you." Lin Yi smiled. "Your follower Zhang Naipeo helped me break through to Mystic Late Phase, and the aphrodisiac you gave me helped me break through to Mystic Late Phase Peak. You guys are really my lucky stars." Pin Liang paused. He didn't expect Lin Yi to break through again and become a Mystic Late Phase Peak, and it was all because of him. Pin Liang regretted it a little. If he knew this would happen, he wouldn't have set him up. But on the surface, Pin Liang didn't back down. "Right, Pao told me to tell you, thank you for crippling his arts and blowing up his meridians. The chrysanthemum arts he practices is something that can't be rebuilt without destruction. If he didn't become a cripple, he wouldn't be able to practice the second stage of the arts." "Is that so?" Lin Yi's heart was in turmoil. He thought that Naipeo was crippled, and even if he recovered, it wouldn't be this easy. He didn't think that he'd unintentionally helped him. What was this? Helping each other? They were even. Lin Yi couldn't help but laugh at the thought. Naipeo and Pin Liang had helped him break through 2 levels, and he had helped Naipeo unlock the second stage of his arts. Looking at it like that, no one had the upper hand. Of course, Lin Yi had broken through 2 levels, so he had the upper hand. Pin Liang saw the slight change in Lin Yi's face, and he was very pleased with himself. It seemed like he'd won a round, and it seemed like Lin Yi was still quite afraid of Naipeo. What he didn't know was that Lin Yi was looking at Naipeo in a different light, but he wasn't afraid of him at all. As for Pin Liang, Lin Yi didn't need to cause him any trouble at all. Lin Yi understood now that Naipeo seemed to be living to avenge Pin Liang. If he did anything to Pin Liang now, the kid might really bring the elders of the Everyday and Everyday sect over to fight him. In these troubled times, Lin Yi had a lot of enemies, and he didn't have the power to go against the Everyday and Everyday sect. Letting Pin Liang go for now wasn't a compromise but a smart move. Pin Liang laughed and ignored Lin Yi. He was ready to activate his second plan. Pin Liang glanced at Xiaofu, indicating that he could speak now. Chapter 1602. Alright, since everyone agrees, then I'll talk about the rules and how to play the game. Gao Xiaofu nodded and said, "Currently we have graduated from high school and are heading to university. We are all adults, but many of our classmates have not tasted the taste of love. So, for the sake of our future love, the game we are playing today is called Safe Kiss." Safe Kiss? Some students knew about this game and immediately cheered excitedly. Yes, it's Safe Kiss. I believe everyone has seen similar games in novels and TV dramas. Some variety shows often have such games too. Gao Xiaofu explained, "It's 2 people kissing through a layer of plastic wrap or glass. This way, everyone can experience the exciting feeling of love without losing out to each other. What do you think?" The boys were the first to agree. In fact, most of the boys had a goddess in their hearts. It was just that because of the college entrance examination, they didn't confess and didn't develop. But now that they had graduated, they didn't have to be so nervous about their studies anymore. Everyone's minds were more active. If they could kiss their favorite goddess, it would be a very refreshing thing. However, the girls were a little shy. After all, most girls were still very conservative. This kind of safe kiss game was really a little too bold. Gao Xiaofu naturally saw all of this, so he began to make a fuss again. This kind of safe kiss is often seen on variety shows on TV. Those celebrities even play with their fans. Look at that pure jade girl celebrity. What's her name? Didn't she play safe kiss with her fans before? This safe kiss is called safe kiss because it's very safe. It won't let anyone lose out to each other. Moreover, everyone drew lots to decide who would be the winner. It's absolutely fair and just. It had to be said that Gao Xiaofu was very good at making a fuss. Moreover, everyone had more or less drunk a little. They were a little hot-headed. The girls also thought about it. Yes, it's just kissing through glass or plastic wrap. They won't lose out to each other. However, there were still some girls who were hesitant. This was because they already had some ambiguous feelings with some of the boys in their class. Although they didn't make their relationship clear, they had some feelings for each other. At this time, if he played a safe kiss with someone else, although it wasn't a big deal, it wouldn't be fun if the other party got jealous. Upon hearing the whispers of the people below, Gao Xiaofu was quick-witted and quickly said, "Write the girls' names as tags and let the boys draw lots. Between the boys who drew lots, they can also choose to exchange. If they are a couple, they can't steal each other's love, right?" Gao Xiaofu's words dispelled the last of the girls' doubts. If they could be swapped, then things would be much easier. Although the couple in the class didn't make it clear, everyone knew what was going on. No one would interfere. Wouldn't that make everyone uncomfortable? Moreover, both boys and girls are welcome. Therefore, under Gao Xiaofu's persuasion, most of the students agreed. Meng Yao, on the other hand, frowned. What kind of ridiculous game is this? I don't want to play. Shu, let's not participate. Don't Yao Yao. What if Shield Bro draws us? Yushu didn't want to give up this chance to have fun. Meng Yao wanted to reject it, but after hearing Yushu's words, she didn't know why, but she didn't want to reject it anymore. She hesitated but didn't say anything against it. Pin Liang and Xiaofu started making paper slips, preparing to let everyone draw lots. When you're making Meng Yao's tag later, make a slip with a corner missing. That way I'll be able to draw it. Pin Liang still hadn't given up on Meng Yao. He saw that Lin Yi wasn't able to take advantage of him, and now he was getting excited. He'd been holding it in for too long and now he was ready to explode. Through his conversation with Lin Yi, it seemed like Lin Yi was quite wary of Zhang Naipeo's rebirth, and so he grew bolder. Plus, this was a group activity and he was following the rules. Even if Lin Yi wasn't happy about it, he wouldn't do anything to him. If he did, people would think that he was a sore loser. Lin Yi was only one step away from Earth class, and his eyes and ears were sharper than before. Pin Liang had lowered his voice, but Lin Yi heard him clearly. This was the advantage of a practitioner, and it was also why a sky class like Bingtang could stand on top of a snowy mountain and control the whole situation. There were only 30 or so people here and there were only a dozen or so girls, so it didn't take long for the lots to be drawn. Xiaofu placed the lot in a box and whispered to Pin Liang, "Liang bro, I put Meng Yao's tag on the corner of the box and didn't tear off a corner. It'd be too obvious." "Not bad, you're quite smart." Pin Liang nodded approvingly. This way no one would suspect anything and normal people wouldn't be able to get Meng Yao's tag. Who would feel around the corners of a box? However, this sentence was heard clearly by Lin Yi, who wasn't far away. "Now let's draw lots. We have fewer boys and more girls, so there must be some girls who didn't get picked. But it's okay, those who didn't get picked, you can choose who you want to play with. Of course, you can also forfeit." Xiaofu said. "Now let's draw lots." The boys were eager to try, and as soon as Xiaofu finished speaking, they ran over excitedly to draw lots. Some of the boys with girls they liked started praying in their hearts, hoping to get the girl they liked. The girls, on the other hand, were thinking about their Prince Charming. While they were drawing lots, Pin Liang took out the plastic wrap he had prepared beforehand and distributed it to the girls one by one. It was made very specially. The frame was square and there was a fixed handle at the bottom. The plastic wrap was placed on the frame, forming a barrier. When using it, the girl only needed to hold this thing in front of her mouth. They didn't have to worry about being taken advantage of. Meng Yao and Yushu got one each. Meng Yao wasn't interested, but Yushu was curious about the structure of the thing, trying to see if she could break it. Lin Yi wasn't very interested in games like this, but in order to prevent Meng Yao and Yushu from being taken advantage of, Lin Yi had to do it himself. Chapter 1603. See for yourself, boss, are you confident? Kong Xiaobo had a girlfriend and wasn't very interested in this game. What confidence? Mengyao and Yushu? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, I secretly checked for you before. Yushu's tag is shorter than normal. It's the last one and there's no cover left. We'll be able to tell if we compare it. But Mingyao's tag is no different, Kong Xiaobo said quietly. Not bad, kid. You know how to be a spy now. Lin Yi smiled. How about this, you can take out Shu's tag later. Is that okay? No way. I wouldn't dare. Kong Xiaobo shook his head. Shu would definitely be Lin Yi's woman in the future and Kong Xiaobo's sister-in-law. Even if she wasn't, he had a girlfriend already. Wouldn't Xiaofan be furious if she knew? So naturally Kong Xiaobo rejected Lin Yi's suggestion. Can't I pick someone else? Why don't you just appoint me then? Lin Yi smiled. That's true. Kong Xiaobo's eyes lit up. Alright boss, leave it to me. I'll definitely complete the mission. The boys who had drawn their lots were all hiding and cautiously running to the side to look at their lots. Those who had drawn their favorite goddess were naturally beaming with joy. However, those who didn't draw their favorite goddess were naturally frowning at this moment, thinking about who to swap with. The unluckiest ones were those who didn't have a goddess they liked, but they just had to draw the tag of a girl they didn't like. It was really frustrating. Of course, there were also those who drew the ugly girl's tag. Holy Hall. When it was Lin Yi's turn, Lin Yi put his hand into the box and found a tag in the corner according to Gao Xiaofu's instructions. Lin Yi squeezed it in his hand and put another tag in the box. After Lin Yi, it was Kong Xiaobo's turn. Kong Xiaobo searched the box for a long time and finally found the missing tag. Luckily both of them drew it early. If someone else drew it, Lin Yi would have to take it by force. But then again, even if Yushu's tag fell into someone else's hands, no one would dare to not return it to Lin Yi. They were afraid of Yushu, but they were also afraid of Lin Yi. Boss, mission completed. Kong Xiaobo said to Lin Yi happily. Not bad. Lin Yi nodded and walked towards Mengyao and Yushu. How was it, shield bro? Did you draw Shu? Yushu asked impatiently. Holy Hall. Lin Yi smiled and passed the tag to Yushu. Yushu saw Lin Yi's movements, thinking that she was the one he drew. She was very happy, but when she saw the name on the tag she was disappointed but still happy. Yao Yao, it's you? Is that so? Mengyao felt an inexplicable surge of excitement in her heart, but on the surface she kept her cool. It's alright, at least it's better than a stranger. Lin Yi smiled and didn't reply. Yushu, on the other hand, looked around and wanted to see who drew her tag. She was going to ask that person to choose Lin Yi. Otherwise, Yushu wouldn't let him have it easy. Let someone else kiss him? What a joke. What are you looking for? Lin Yi asked, amused. I'm looking to see who drew my tag, Yushu said. Yours is with Kong Xiaobo, Lin Yi smiled. Yushu blinked, understanding what Lin Yi meant. She smiled happily. Okay, so he'll pick you, right? Probably, Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Oh. Yushu was happy. I've tried kissing shield bro, but I've never tried a safe kiss like this before. Yushu's words made Lin Yi sweat. Kissing directly? That was mouth-to-mouth resuscitation, alright? In order to show their fairness, Pinliang and Xiaofu were the last two to draw, and Pinliang's tag was the one that Lin Yi put in the corner of the box. Xiaofu's face turned bitter as he looked at the tag in his hand. The one he drew was the second ugliest girl in the class reunion, Zhen Ruhua. Not only was her face fat, but she was also extremely short, even prettier than Ruhua in the movies. Young bro, what do I do? Why am I so unlucky? Xiaofu looked at the tag in his hand and wanted to cry. Pinliang couldn't help but laugh when he saw Xiaofu's tag. You're too smart for your own good. You prepared a tag for me, why didn't you prepare one for yourself? Are you happy now? It wasn't that Xiaofu didn't want to prepare one. He wanted to sneak a tag in his hand and pretend to draw it. But it was summer and everyone was wearing short sleeves. He couldn't hide the tag in his hand. He wasn't a magician, so he had to draw it himself. The reason why he made Yushu's tag shorter was because he wanted to draw it himself and give it to Lin Yi. Xiaofu didn't have a girl he liked in the class and he was just playing along with Pinliang. It didn't matter if he played or not. But now he had drawn Zhen Ruhua. No matter who he chose, no one could accept it. He had no choice but to do it himself. On the other side, Pinliang was laughing at Xiaofu as he held up his tag. His eyes widened in shock when he saw what it was. The name on the tag in his hand wasn't Meng Yao, but the ugliest girl in the class, Mei Ruxian. She was as beautiful as a goddess. Not only was her face full of holes, her eyes and mouth were crooked, and she had a mouth full of yellow teeth. Her breath could be smelled from 10 feet away. Pin Liang almost fainted when he thought about how he played the safe kiss with someone like this. Liang bro, what's wrong? Xiaofu paused. He didn't know what was wrong with Pin Liang. Xiaofu, Liang bro's tag is for you to complete later. You have to complete it. Pin Liang passed the tag to Xiaofu and patted him on the shoulder, his tone serious. Xiaofu paused. Liang bro, aren't you going to kiss Meng Yao? See for yourself, Pin Liang said. Xiaofu opened the tag Pin Liang gave him, a little confused. Chapter 1604. Chapter 1603, Misthoughts. But when Xiaofu saw it, his eyes rolled back and he almost fainted. Seriously? God earth, one Jin Ruhua was enough to choke him, and now there was another Mei Ruxian? Liang bro. This. Xiaofu was dumbfounded. Sanctuary, I pulled myself out from between the cracks. Are you sure you're not mistaken? Pin Liang glared at him. You're reaping what you sow. I can't. I confirmed it a few times. Xiaofu was confused as well. You're the one who made it, so you should bear the consequences yourself. Pin Liang said. Xiaofu frowned, but there was nothing he could do. After a few discussions and exchanges between the boys and girls, everyone had found their favorite game partners. Those who were already in love with each other had also found suitable partners. As for those who didn't have anyone they liked after this matchmaking session, they had a good impression of each other. Perhaps after this game they would be able to help a lot of couples get together. This meant that Pin Liang and Xiaofu had done a great thing. Everyone performed kisses one by one, and although some of them had feelings for each other, they couldn't do anything under the watchful eyes of the crowd. Plus, they hadn't made their relationship clear before, so after a few kisses they shyly separated. Sanctuary. When it was Lin Yi and Yushu's turn, Yushu happily raised the plastic wrap and closed her eyes. She whispered to Lin Yi, Shield bro, you have to be gentle with Shu, okay? This is Shu's first kiss. Lin Yi was speechless. Didn't they say that they'd already had their first kiss? How did it become their first kiss? Was it their first safe kiss? If you had to put it that way, then it was similar. Lin Yi naturally wouldn't kiss Yushu. He only pecked her forehead lightly. Alright, it's someone else's turn. That's it? Yushu was a little disappointed. She really wanted to try kissing him on the lips, but he only kissed her forehead. What else do you want? Lin Yi laughed and said, Yu Yunyun and Xiao Xiao's treatment is almost the same. Really? Yushu brightened up at Lin Yi's words. So you didn't kiss them either? Lin Yi didn't answer and Yushu didn't pursue the matter. On the web it was Meng Yao's turn. She didn't know why, but her heart was in a mess. She looked at Lin Yi and Shu with anticipation but also fear. Meng Yao was a conservative girl. Her first kiss, first love and first night were all very important. This was also the reason why she had such a big reaction when she drank the drink that Lin Yi drank. But as she interacted with Lin Yi more, the ambiguous things between the two increased, especially the time when she was poisoned. Lin Yi detoxified her poison and saw her most embarrassing scene. So Meng Yao didn't know how she felt about Lin Yi. Was it love? Or was it a habit? Meng Yao wasn't sure. Every time she thought about how she said that she didn't like Lin Yi, she would shrink back a little. She would rather believe that her reliance on Lin Yi was a kind of habitual familial love. She didn't have a mother's love since she was young and her father was busy with work. Meng Yao didn't have much love. But when Lin Yi came to the villa, he took care of her, protected her and let Meng Yao feel loved. So Meng Yao was more willing to believe that her feelings for Lin Yi were just attachment. As for love, how was that possible? How was that possible? Meng Yao knew that she couldn't be as bold as Shu. Lin Yi had a girlfriend already, calling himself a mistress? How embarrassing was that? As for Xiao Xiao, Meng Yao didn't think much about it. She just treated it as a dying person's wish. This was a special case, there was no comparison. The more she thought about it, the more hesitant she became. Seeing that it was her turn with Lin Yi, Meng Yao didn't know why, but she said to Shu, Shu, I want you to play with Lin Yi. If you can choose a guy, you can choose a girl too. Naturally, no one said anything about Meng Yao's suggestion. After all, it had nothing to do with anyone else. It was fine as long as the person in question agreed. Oh okay. Yushu hadn't had enough yet and Mingyao's words made her very happy. Shield bro, let's do it again. Don't go back on your words this time. We need to kiss a little longer. It ended so quickly Shu didn't feel anything. The Miss reaction was within Lin Yi's expectations. The Miss was actually a very shy person. Giving Shu the role would save everyone from the awkwardness. Lin Yi could more or less confirm Shu's feelings towards him, so no matter how much he messed around with her, she wouldn't have any other thoughts. Meng Yao on the other hand was something he couldn't understand. Other than the battle with Tang Yun, the Miss had shown her determination. Other than that he couldn't tell if the Miss had any other feelings for him other than being friends. As for the battle with Tang Yun, Lin Yi could only attribute it to the Miss being so angry that she didn't know what to say. In fact at that time she and Tang Yun both said some things that weren't true. Lin Yi and Yushu raised the plastic wrap again. This time Yushu was smarter. She didn't wait for Lin Yi to kiss her stupidly. Instead she took the initiative and kissed Lin Yi's lips through the plastic wrap. Lin Yi was slightly stunned. In fact he could have avoided it but he didn't. First Lin Yi was afraid that Yushu would be sad. Second, it was because there was plastic wrap between them so it shouldn't be considered a real kiss, right? When it came to kissing Yushu was actually a newbie as well. She knew how it was but she didn't know why. She only saw on TV that men and women kissed mouth to mouth, but she didn't know anything like a French kiss or a French kiss. So the two stupidly pressed their lips together for a while and separated. Although Lin Yi didn't have similar experience he knew a little more than Yushu. However he didn't want to take advantage of Yushu so he went along with Yushu and kissed her lips. It was considered a safe kiss. Yushu had achieved her goal, but she was still a little puzzled. The kiss wasn't as beautiful as it seemed. She was a little nervous and excited but wasn't it like the movies? Wouldn't they get tired after kissing for so long? With this doubt, Yushu decided to go home and search for what was kissing on the internet. She wanted to see if she missed anything. Chapter 1605. In the end, the only one left was the unlucky Gao Xiaofu, the initiator of the event. He'd suffered the consequences of his own actions. He'd had a safe kiss with two girls in the class, Ugly Boss and Ugly Boss. After the kiss, Gao Xiaofu fainted on the ground, completely disgusted. The two beautiful girls on the other hand were still intoxicated. Gao Xiaofu on the other hand wasn't bad looking. He could be considered a handsome guy and he used to be a powerful figure in the class. Although he'd been stepped on by Lin Yi, he still had a place in the girls' hearts. This was especially true for a dinosaur like him. As a result, Gao Xiaofu fainted after being hugged and kissed by the two beauties. Gao Xiaofu's situation drew a round of laughter from the class. The game was just an appetizer. After the game was over, Pin Liang wanted to bring everyone to the game room to play billiards, video games, bowling, etc. But now that Gao Xiaofu had fainted he couldn't go anymore. He could only give everyone a ticket to the game room. Those who wanted to play could go on their own. Meng Yao's heart ached as she looked at Lin Yi and the blissful Yushu. Was this the happiness that belonged to her? She was starting to regret giving this chance to Yushu. Meng Yao rubbed her temples. Why was it that she always regretted things? Did she really regret it? Was it because she liked Lin Yi? Or was it something else? Meng Yao shook her head, trying her best not to think about it. It was irritating. At first she'd been wary and hostile towards Lin Yi, but unknowingly she'd been influenced. There was a change in his mentality. Yao Yao, what are you thinking about? Yushu asked as she saw Meng Yao standing there in a daze. She didn't know what she was thinking about. Nothing, Shu. Meng Yao shook her head. Let's go. I'm a little tired. Let's go back and rest. So we're not going to the game room? Yushu was a little disappointed. It wasn't easy for them to come out and play. There was no point in going back to rest so early. Meng Yao could see Yushu's disappointment as well. Yushu had been studying in the villa all this time, and she hadn't had a chance to relax at all. Lin Yi was still practicing and Meng Yao, Yushu and Tang Yun didn't want to disturb Lin Yi. They knew that Lin Yi was about to do something important. Therefore they did not go out to play. Therefore with such a rare opportunity, it would be a pity if he didn't enjoy it to the fullest. Meng Yao on the other hand felt a little tired from the past 2 days. She'd been fanning Lin Yi and she was sweating all over. She turned the air conditioner to the max and she felt like she was about to catch a cold. But in order not to disappoint Shu, Meng Yao decided to accompany her. Thus he smiled and said, "Oh right, I forgot about that. Shall we go then?" Lin Yi could see Ming Yao's exhaustion, but he could also see the deep love she had for Yushu. Lin Yi could see how much she cared for Yushu. She looked like a big sister, and it was rare for them to have such a good relationship. They weren't real sisters, but they were closer than real sisters. Xiaobo wasn't interested in being a third wheel at all. He went back to his room to rest, feeling a little annoyed as well. Wherever he went, students would come up to him and flatter him. Xiaobo was starting to get bored. Lin Yi and the other two arrived at the activity room on the top floor of the resort. The entire floor was the activity center, and there were many entertainment programs. Pin Liang had wanted to book a private room for everyone to rest in, but he didn't because of Xiaofu. But there were many resting places in the activity center, and they weren't worried about not having enough space. There were many entertainment programs in the activity center, but there weren't many customers. It was empty as far as the eye could see. But that was to be expected. The activity center was only open to the guests of the resort, and it wasn't open to the public. How many customers could there be? Lin Yi and the other two found a place to sit down. Meng Yao was a little weak, so Lin Yi turned to Yushu. "What do you want to play? I'll bring you." Yushu noticed Meng Yao's discomfort and didn't force her. "Yao Yao, you'll stay here and watch over us?" "Yeah." Meng Yao nodded. Most of the time Meng Yao wished Shu well in her heart, hoping that she'd find a good partner. Lin Yi, on the other hand, was a good choice based on his character and strength. But the problem was that Lin Yi already had a girlfriend and not just one. Was there even a chance between him and Yushu? Even if Shu said she didn't care, did she really care? And that ridiculous promise with her, the first wife and the second wife? Meng Yao sometimes couldn't understand Yushu's true thoughts. Sometimes she looked like an idiot and liked to play dumb. But Meng Yao felt that Yushu wasn't playing dumb most of the time. Maybe what she said was true. She'd practically grown up with Yushu and no one knew her better than Meng Yao. But even so, Meng Yao didn't understand her at all. This carefree girl, who could even be called a happy little girl, didn't seem to be happy. But in many situations, even if they were like sisters, Meng Yao wouldn't purposely ask Yushu if she didn't want to talk about it. No matter what, she was Yushu's Yao Yao and she would treat her well for life. Meng Yao sighed and laid on the table quietly, watching Lin Yi and Shu walk away. Lin Yi played a few rides with Yushu, but Yushu seemed a little dull, not as lively as before. It was probably because Meng Yao couldn't come with them. Lin Yi found it funny, these two sisters were really close. "Let's not play anymore, Shield Bro, let's go back and accompany Yao Yao," Yushu said disinterestedly. "Ha, okay." Lin Yi nodded and went to the drinks counter, bought 3 bottles of drinks and walked towards Meng Yao with Shu. But after 2 steps, Lin Yi's face darkened. Lin Yi saw a Baldy with sunglasses sitting beside Meng Yao's seat, talking to Meng Yao non-stop. Beside the Baldy were a couple of gangster-like young men who obviously didn't look like good people. Obviously, even if he pretended to be young, he wouldn't be able to go to school with young Master Yu. Therefore, such a bodyguard could only follow young Master Yu outside. It was impossible to do so when he was in school. Holy Hall, when Stick Bro heard that Lin Yi was a mystic late phase master, he was slightly surprised, but he didn't care too much. He was a famous mystic late phase peak physical practitioner for a long time. In his opinion, Lin Yi was just a junior who didn't know how to break through. Even if he had strength, it probably wasn't stable. As for Lin Yi's background, young Master Yu went back to investigate for a long time, but he couldn't find anything. He was only a second young master, so he couldn't use all the resources of the Yu family. He could only ask around to see if there were other hidden families who looked like Lin Yi. But from the information he got back, there was no one who looked like Lin Yi, so young Master Yu was relieved. Since he wasn't from a hidden family, there was no problem. As for the ancient level, he really didn't think about it. Disciples of the ancient level generally didn't appear in the secular world. They didn't even bother to fight with ordinary masters like the hidden families. They only wanted to pursue the heaven class, hoping to achieve the heavenly Tao. Where would they have the time to take an exam? Young Master Yu was a cultivator after all. Although he didn't have much strength, he still had true chi to protect his body. He was injured by the bowling ball, but it wasn't too serious. After he got up and took a pill, the blood at the back of his head quickly stopped. "Stick, kill this kid for me." Young Master Yu caught his breath and glared at Lin Yi fiercely. Last time he lost face in front of Lin Yi. This time he didn't even get his face back and was hit by a bowling ball. If he didn't trample Lin Yi to death, how could he vent his anger? Kid, I heard that you are a master in the late stage of mystic class? Stick Bro looked at Lin Yi and asked faintly, which family's disciple are you from? Tell me your name. What? Are you trying to test me? Do you want to see if House Yu has the ability to challenge the power behind me? Lin Yi looked at Stick Bro mockingly and asked. Stick Bro was older and he had become famous earlier. He had long passed the age of being young and frivolous, so he considered the problem more comprehensively. Although young master Yu said that there was no Lin Yi in those families, he still wanted to ask about Lin Yi's background. You're just afraid that the flood will destroy the temple of the Dragon King. Our Yu family has never been afraid of anyone. Among the hidden families, even the hidden House Yu has to respect us. Stick Bro felt embarrassed when Lin Yi saw through his thoughts. No matter who you are, you have to give me an explanation for today's matter. Either cripple your own martial arts or follow me back to House Yu and wait for our master's punishment. I'm a solo cultivator with no family. Lin Yi smiled faintly. Are you relieved now? But as for the two conditions you mentioned, I think we should do the opposite. Either you cripple your own martial arts or I'll cripple you. Then you can go back and wait for your master to kick you out of the family. You have a sharp tongue. Stick Bro sneered and didn't say anything else. He suddenly raised his strength to the peak of the late stage of mystic class and swung his palm towards Lin Yi. He had made up his mind that even if he wanted to capture Lin Yi, he would first cripple Lin Yi. Otherwise, young Master Yu's anger wouldn't be extinguished so easily. Lin Yi smiled faintly and didn't dodge. He casually raised his right palm and in an instant, the peak of the late stage of mystic class was revealed. In an instant, Stick Bro's face, which was originally proud and confident of victory, suddenly took a 180-degree turn. Previously he thought that it wouldn't be easy for him to use his peak of the late stage of mystic class to fight Lin Yi, who was a spiritual master of the late stage of mystic class. Although there was a difference of one level between spiritual and physical, it depended on how you fought. He was well aware of the difference in strength between a peak late-phase mystic class spiritual master and a physical master. Especially since Stick Bro was injured, he was definitely not Lin Yi's opponent. Holy Hall Lin Yi didn't think too much about becoming enemies with the hidden right family. Since the hatred had been formed, there was no way to resolve it. He would just take it one step at a time. Yao Yao, are you okay? They didn't do anything to you, right? Lin Yi looked at the tired Meng Yao and asked. I'm fine. Thank you. But there won't be any trouble, right? The miss could tell that those people weren't simple, so she was just perfunctory and didn't get angry directly. What are you thanking me for? Haven't I always been your fighter? Lin Yi smiled. Aren't we friends now? Mei Yao asked. Lin Yi was slightly stunned and nodded. And we're friends, so there's no need to say thank you. Meng Yao seemed happy to hear Lin Yi say that. Because of young Master Yu and Stick Bro, the three of them who were already a little dispirited had no more thoughts of playing anymore. They left the activity room and went back to their rooms to rest. Lin Yi didn't really stay in the same room with Meng Yao and Yushu. It wasn't convenient and people would gossip about him. Shu was fine, but Lin Yi was afraid of bringing gossip to the miss, so he went to Kong Xiaobo's room. Looking at Lin Yi leave, the miss was expressionless and no one could tell if she was happy or sad. In the floating cloud bar, Yaowang, Uncle Zhu, Boss Zhu, Qibing and Sihua were sitting together plotting something. Lin Yi went to the class reunion. If I'm not wrong, they'll definitely go hiking tomorrow. This is the activity that people who go to the resort choose the next morning, Sihua said. Sihua said. He was in the entertainment industry after all, so he was very familiar with these things. Then let's do it tomorrow morning. Boss Zhu nodded, but he was a little worried as he looked at Yaowang. Yaowang, is what you said true? Ordinary poisonous snakes will become extremely poisonous after consuming this 5-step dispersing powder, but they won't be poisoned to death? I've studied medicine for so long, why would I lie to you? Yaowang said. Plus, we're all Master Bing's people. This isn't just revenge for Zhu Lauer, it's also revenge for Master Bing. That's good. Boss Zhu nodded and said, people who are poisoned by this kind of poison will lose their true qi and have no antidote? I heard that Lin Yi is a miracle doctor too. What if he can cure it? Of course there's a cure, but Lin Yi may be a skilled doctor. But where would he find the cure in that small town? By the time he gets back to Songshan and finds the cure, his qi will be long gone, and he'll become a normal person. There's no point in curing it. Yao Wang said. This poison doesn't work on normal people? Boss Zhu asked. No, it'll only hurt a little and the wound will swell for a few days, but it won't cause much damage. This is why normal snakes don't have any effects after consuming it, Yao Wang explained. Alright. I'll find a chance tomorrow to poison Lin Yi and turn him into a normal person. It'll be too easy for us to deal with him then. Boss Zhu nodded. Big brother, but that Lin Yi seems to be able to recover his strength, right? I heard that his meridians were all destroyed, but his meridians recovered and he regained his strength. Uncle Zhu reminded. Meridians can be healed with the meridian opening pill. Once the meridians are healed, doesn't that mean that his strength will be restored? But this 5-step powder disperses all the qi in the body, turning a person into a normal person. It's different. Yao Wang explained. Zhu Lauer, aren't you an example? Uncle Zhu thought about it and felt that it was indeed the case. He immediately felt relieved. Then it settled. Tomorrow I'll think of a way to make the snake that ate the 5-step powder bite Lin Yi, Boss Zhu said fiercely. Boss Zhu said fiercely. Once Lin Yi disperses his pure energy, he'll be a tiger without teeth. We can step on him however we want. Target equals undefined. Tang Yu did not hide anything and respectfully told Grandfather Tang what he had said to his father and the great elder. Grandfather, that person is a disciple of the everyday and everyday sect. Grandson does not dare to fight with him. If we insist on fighting for a moment of pride, then not only will our grandson not be able to return, but it will also bring disaster to our hidden Tang family. So grandson can only give up on this opportunity. You did the right thing. The ancient sects and the hidden families are not on the same level. Tolerating them is the wisest choice. Elder Tang nodded his head and said, our Tang family's inner force cultivation technique has always leaned towards the ice attribute. This time we sent you to the ice palace because we wanted you to stay there and become an outer disciple. That way you would be able to advance in that unique environment. But forget it, there are some things that cannot be done, so there is no need to force it. Grandson knows, so grandson did not want to give up on this opportunity. I stayed at the foot of the ice mountain and trained for a while before coming back. The spiritual energy there is thick, allowing grandson to break through the bottleneck. Right now grandson is a mystic mid-phase peak. Tang Yu said. What? You broke through? Ah, that's great. Grandfather Tang said happily. Not bad, not bad. At your age you are already a mystic mid-phase peak. In time, it is not impossible for you to break through to sky class. You just came back and you're already here. Are you trying to take credit from me? Your father and the others don't know about this, do they? I'm sorry, grandfather. They really don't know. I didn't have the time to tell them. Tang Yu quickly apologized. I know that you always wanted to be the young master, but I didn't tell you. Now that you're back from the trial, are you thinking about it again? Grandfather Tang sighed. Grandfather, let's not talk about this for now. I came to see you in a hurry because of something else. Tang Yu didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Although he wanted to be the young master, he did come for something else. Oh, something else? Grandfather Tang paused. It's something very important. Tang Yu suddenly lowered his voice. Grandfather, should we go to the secret room? Although no one dared to eavesdrop outside of Grandfather Tang's training room, the sky class masters in the family were not to be trifled with. If they heard what Tang Yu said, it would cause a huge uproar. Without Grandfather Tang's approval, Tang Yu didn't dare to speak carelessly. Secret room. Grandfather Tang was even more confused. What is it that requires us to go to the secret room to discuss? It should be noted that the secret room would only be opened when it was related to the Tang family's development or the selection of the next family head. Under other circumstances, Grandfather Tang would never go to the secret room. I saw someone who could change the status of our Tang family. If my guess is correct, then the Tang family's meteoric rise is just around the corner. Tang Yu said. However, before this news is confirmed, I can only tell you, grandfather. Saw someone? Someone who can change the Tang family? Grandfather Tang frowned. However, seeing how mysterious Tang Yiyu was, he thought for a moment and nodded his head. "Alright, come with me." After speaking, Grandfather Tang turned around and walked towards an ancient painting by the side of the bookshelf. He gently touched the mechanism on the ancient painting and a creaking sound could be heard. The place where the bookshelf used to be was now a secret passageway. Although everyone in the Tang family knew about Grandfather Tang's secret room, the only person who was actually summoned into the secret room was Tang Yiyu's father, the current head of the hidden Tang family. Chapter 1609. Relatives. For Tang Yiyu to be able to enter this place, it could be considered a form of glory. Tang Yiyu carefully followed Grandfather Tang into the secret room. Soon after, the door to the secret room automatically closed with a clang, plunging the passage into darkness. Grandfather Tang casually pressed a button and the lights in the secret passage lit up, illuminating the entire passageway. The interior of the passage was very simple, not as luxurious as Tang Yiyu had imagined. It was no different from a normal staircase. After descending 2 flights of stairs, Grandfather Tang and Tang Yiyu arrived at a small hall. In the small hall, there was only a simple meeting table and a few chairs. This was the so-called secret room. In Tang Yiyu's mind, the secret room was supposed to be a very luxurious and dignified place. He never expected it to be so ordinary, like a room that had never been renovated before. In reality, Grandfather Tang rarely used the secret room, so there was no need to decorate it too luxuriously. "What, is it different from what I expected? Do you think this place is very shabby?" Grandfather Tang looked at Tang Yiyu and smiled. "Holy Church, I wouldn't dare." Tang Yiyu hurriedly said, "A place to discuss matters naturally doesn't need to be luxurious." "You're right. Take a seat, Yiyu. This time you can speak. What important matter do you have to tell me?" Grandfather Tang sat on the main seat and gestured to Tang Yiyu. "Grandfather, during the trial I saw someone." Speaking up to this point, Tang Yiyu hesitated as if he didn't know what to say. "You saw someone? Who?" Grandfather Tang said, "If you have something to say, then say it. Why are you hemming and hawing? Why did you come to this secret room? I'm the only one here, no one else can hear me." "Grandfather, then grandson will speak boldly." Tang Yiyu gritted his teeth and said, "During the trial I saw someone, she looked very similar to third aunt." "Your third aunt? Xiaoming?" Grandfather Tang furrowed his brows and said, "Looked like her? Who looked like her?" "Ice Palace. Palace Master." Tang Yiyu said, "When I first saw her, I thought I saw third aunt. At that time I was so scared that I couldn't speak, but because she was a peak late-stage heaven rank expert, I didn't dare to look too much. But in the trial, the more I thought about it, the more I felt that something was wrong. Later, when the trial ended, I took a closer look at the Ice Palace Master. She really looked like Third Madam. But I haven't seen Third Madam for many years, so I don't have a deep impression of her. But she should be similar to the Third Madam I saw when she was young." "You mean, the Palace Master of Ice Palace and your third antique?" Grandfather Tang was shocked by Tang Yiyu's words. He jumped up from his chair with a whoosh. With Elder Tang's composure, it was impossible for him to do something so crude. However, the news that Tang Yiyu brought him was too important. "I suspect that the Palace Master of Ice Palace is the child that Third Madam lost." Tang Yiyu said, "Grandfather, do you really think that there are people in this world who look so similar?" Grandfather Tang's expression instantly became incomparably interesting. After a while he said, "That's not possible. The Palace Master of the Ice Palace is in existence at the peak late-stage heaven rank. How could she and our Tang family?" "Grandfather, this is a photo that I secretly took with my phone. Please take a look." As he spoke, Tang Yiyu handed a phone to Grandfather Tang. This photo was taken that night in front of the inn. Rock Tang and Elder Qing naturally noticed his actions, but they had no need to stop him. After all, their images were not a secret, so it wasn't a big deal for the hidden families to know about it. 7 asterisk, let me take a look. Although Grandfather Tang said that it was unlikely, his heart was in a state of shock. Deep down in his heart he also hoped that what Tang Yiyu said was true. If that was the case, then the Tang family's meteoric rise was just around the corner. Grandfather Tang practically snatched the phone from Tang Yiyu's hands. After taking a look at the photo, he was instantly stunned. Too similar. Really too similar. Grandfather Tang looked at the photo on the phone and mumbled to himself, "She looks exactly like your third madam when she was young." "Grandfather, you mean she?" After hearing his grandfather's words, Tang Yuyu confirmed his suspicions. "She is my half-sister from a different mother? If that's the case, then that's it. But I'm not sure." Elder Tang suddenly sighed. "Your mother is a jealous person. She was the one who single-handedly caused everything that happened in the past. Now that the Ice Palace's palace master is indeed your sister, it may not be a good thing for the Tang family." After the excitement, Grandfather Tang's mind calmed down. His eldest son had married 3 wives. His first wife was also from a hidden family. To be honest, it was just a marriage alliance. His eldest son had no feelings for his eldest son. As for his eldest son's childhood sweetheart, she became his second wife. However, Grandfather Tang's eldest daughter-in-law had used a scheme to kill his second daughter-in-law. If not for the fact that she was from an aristocratic family, Grandfather Tang would have punished her. However, his second daughter-in-law had no background and no children. So, after his eldest daughter-in-law's family offered some compensation, the matter was left unsettled. As for the third daughter-in-law, after his second daughter-in-law died, his eldest son married her and gave birth to a daughter. Originally, this daughter would not have been a threat to Tang Yuyu's right to inherit the position of junior head of household. Chapter 16:10. The emotional Tang family. As a result, Tang Yuyu did not have the upper hand in the fight for the position of young master. If he had been willing to play some tricks, the position would have been his long ago. Although she was Tang Yuyu's biological mother, the things that his mother did made Tang Yuyu despise her. As a result, Tang Yuyu's relationship with her was very cold and he kept a respectful distance from her. "Sanctuary, that's true." Grandfather Tang nodded his head and said, "But Yuyu, do you know why I haven't agreed to let you be the young master?" Tang Yuyu was surprised. He didn't know why his grandfather would suddenly bring this up. "You are a good person. You are a real man and there is nothing wrong with your character. However, you are too loyal and don't know how to scheme. By placing you in the position of young master too early, I'm not helping you, I'm harming you. In the family there are many people eyeing that position. It's easy to dodge a spear in the open but hard to guard against a stab in the dark. If you really become the young master, you will soon become the target of everyone. When that time comes, I'm afraid you won't even know how you died." Grandfather Tang sighed. Tang Yuyu was stunned. He suddenly understood his grandfather's painstaking efforts. It turned out that grandfather's heart had always been on his side. Thinking of this, Tang Yuyu was extremely moved. "Thank you, grandfather, for taking care of me. Forget it, let's not talk about this anymore. This matter must be kept a secret. Don't tell anyone else. At the moment, only the 2 of us know about it. If this matter is leaked, it will be a blessing or a curse for the Tang family." Grandfather Tang warned. "Sanctuary, yes." Tang Yuyu replied solemnly. "Good. Now come with me to see your third auntie." Grandfather Tang said, "Follow me and be careful. Don't let anyone see you." "Yes." Tang Yuyu replied. And so, Grandfather Tang led Tang Yuyu out of the secret room. Avoiding everyone's eyes, they directly arrived at the courtyard where third auntie was being held captive. Grandfather Tang was a heaven-ranked expert. For him, this matter was as easy as flipping his hand. The servant in third concubine's courtyard suddenly saw 2 more people in the courtyard. He was so shocked that he was about to shout. However, when he saw clearly who it was, he was shocked. "Old master, young master, go ahead, it's none of your business." Tang Yuyu waved his hand and gestured. "Yes, young master." The servant did not dare to speak and hurriedly bowed his head and left to attend to his own matters. Meanwhile, Tang Yuyu and Grandfather Tang directly entered third aunt's room. What he saw was a young married woman. She was dressed very simply. Although she was a little listless, she was definitely not mentally ill. The young woman's appearance was no longer there, but one could tell that she had been a beauty when she was young. Looking at this third aunt, Tang Yuyu could not help but sigh. Thinking back to when he was young, she had brought him along to play. She had been such a beautiful young girl, just like the current Ice Palace master. But now, after so many years, things had changed. All these years, although Tang Yuyu had often asked people to send food and clothing to third aunt, In order to avoid arousing suspicion, he had never come here. After all, he was the grandson of the first wife. How could he possibly get involved with third aunt? At the same time, Grandfather Tang could not help but lament the passing of time. It had only been 10 years and this third aunt had already become so haggard. Thinking about his eldest son who was willing to do anything for the sake of power, Grandfather Tang shook his head. If it wasn't for his eldest son's tacit approval, no matter how jealous his daughter-in-law was, this was still the Tang family, not hers. It wasn't a place where she could do whatever she wanted. However, in order to get hold of his daughter-in-law's weakness, he used her family's influence to throw away his own flesh and blood. This was simply inhumane. Elder Tang noticed all of this, but he did not say a word. The Tang family needed to develop, so they needed a ruthless person. As long as he did not do anything that would harm the Tang family's interests, Grandfather Tang would not interfere. Hearing the sound, third aunt turned around. When she saw the old man and the young man in front of her, she was stunned. She naturally recognized the old man, but the young man looked a little familiar. However, she did not dare to recognize him. "Father, why are you here?" Third aunt hurriedly stood up and bowed. "Father, please take a seat." Third aunt was a little fearful. For the past 10 years, no one from the Tang family had appeared before her. But now, the Tang family head had suddenly appeared, causing her to panic. She was originally from a poor background and was not from a big family. All these years she had lost her daughter and had always been depressed. She also knew that the big madam did not like her, so she could only wait for her life to come to an end. "Xiaoming, it's been so many years. Must have been hard on you. My unfilial son sighed." As soon as Grandfather Tang entered the room, he waved his hand and sighed. "Father, it's not his fault. It's Xiaoming's fault for being careless." Third aunt was fearful, unsure of what Grandfather Tang was planning. "All these years I have never given up on finding your daughter. But as you know, the eldest daughter-in-law's family is as powerful as the Tang family. So I had no choice but to ask you to investigate in secret." Grandfather Tang lied without batting an eyelid. He pointed to Tang Yu and said, "Yu has always been close to you when he was young. Now that his sister has gone missing, he has become estranged from his mother. Ah, it's the big young master." After hearing Grandfather Tang's words, third aunt finally recognized the young man in front of her as Tang Yu. "Third aunt, all these years, in order to avoid arousing suspicion, I haven't visited you. I am truly ashamed." Tang Yu bowed deeply. These were his sincere words. He wasn't as hypocritical as Elder Tang. He had a close relationship with third auntie, otherwise he wouldn't have sent people to deliver gifts to her all these years. "Young master, you're exaggerating. All these years I've relied on you to take care of me. I don't have to worry about food and clothing here." Third aunt didn't doubt Grandfather Tang's words. If others had forgotten about her, she would have believed it. But all these years Tang Yu had sent gifts to her during the festive season. This touched third aunt very much. In the past she didn't treat Tang Yu well. This child was really not bad. Hearing that Tang Yu had been secretly searching for his daughter all these years, third aunt was even more excited as she asked, "Young master, then did you manage to find out anything about Tang Tang?" Third aunt's daughter's nickname was Tang Tang. It was a very nice name. As for her real name, it was also Tang Tang. It was just that the characters were different. Target equals undefined. Chapter 16:11. Chapter 16:10. Preparing to go to the Ice Palace. I have some news. Otherwise, I wouldn't have come here with grandfather. Tang Yu sighed. Although his grandfather was lying, he couldn't refute him. He simply said, "Third auntie, you are the elder. Why are you calling me young master? Just call me Yu." Xiaoming Yu has indeed found news of Tang Tang. However, he isn't sure if this person is Tang Tang. He took a photo. But where is it? After hearing Grandfather Tang's words, third auntie seemed to be in a much better mood. She said excitedly, "Quick, let me see." However, she quickly realized that she had lost her composure. She quickly said, "Father, I'm sorry. I was too anxious." "It's nothing. You let Xiaoming see the phone." Grandfather Tang's attitude had always been good. As a sly old fox, he naturally knew how to put on an act. Tang Yu had already revealed his true feelings, so there was no need for him to put on an act. Third auntie, please take a look. Tang Yu handed the phone to third auntie. Third concubine took the phone and glanced at it. She exclaimed in surprise and almost dropped the phone on the ground. Her eyes stared straight at the photo on the phone. Her throat was stuck and she couldn't say a word. She couldn't help but tear up. After a long time she finally said in a barely audible voice, "Tang Tang, is that you?" "Tang Tang, it must be you." Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu didn't say anything. They both knew that third auntie needed some time to digest this news. At this time, it was already a miracle that she didn't faint from excitement. After all, no one would be able to accept the sudden news of their long-lost daughter. Yes, must be. Father, when I first saw her, I had an inexplicable feeling in my heart as if she was my daughter. This is a kind of blood connection. I'm sure it's her. She must be Tang Tang. Third aunt said, "Where is she? I'm going to find her." This. Grandfather Tang smiled bitterly. Xiaoming, don't get too excited. It's a bit complicated. Complicated? Third auntie wanted to say something but she shut her mouth. She looked at Grandfather Tang with anticipation and anxiety. Xiaoming, do you know her current identity? Grandfather Tang sighed and said, her current identity is the palace master of an ancient sect, Ice Palace. What? An ancient sect? Ice Palace palace master? Third aunt was shocked. Although she was born poor, she had been in the hidden Tang family for many years. She knew about the hidden families in ancient sections. So when she heard that the person in the photo was the palace master of the ancient sect, Ice Palace, she was stunned. Holy Church, this is also the reason why Zuo and I are uncertain. Old Man Tang said, the difference between us and the Ice Palace's palace master is simply too great. How could an abandoned child of the Tang family become the palace master of one of the largest ancient sects, the Ice Palace? This was too unimaginable. Moreover, according to Yu, she was a peak late-stage heaven rank master. Even I am only at the early stage of heaven rank. Third aunt held the phone tightly and did not speak. She looked at the person in the photo and no one knew what she was thinking. As for Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu, they did not disturb her. After a while, third aunt said, I have a feeling that she is my daughter, it really is. Xiaoming, if you're sure, let's personally go to the Ice Palace's location. Even if we're right or not, there's nothing to lose. Elder Tang had already thought it through. Going to the Ice Palace wouldn't be considered as offending the Ice Palace. The Ice Palace was different from the everyday and everyday day sect, which didn't play by the rules. Sects like the Ice Palace sometimes didn't care about small and weak powers. If they really went to the Ice Palace, they would at most be chased out for making a mistake, but there wouldn't be any danger. Is that okay? The third aunt agreed without hesitation. She also wanted to see her daughter as soon as possible. Not to mention the Ice Palace, even if she had to go to the ends of the earth, she would go. Then it's decided. You don't need to say anything to the servants. I will make the arrangements and we will set off in a few days. Grandfather Tang said after a moment of silence. I understand. Third aunt nodded in agreement. Although third concubine was born in a poor family and did not have any bad intentions, she was not stupid. She quickly realized that if her daughter Tang Tang was really the palace master of the Ice Palace, the future of the Tang family would be greatly affected. But would her daughter be willing to acknowledge her as her mother? Thinking of this, third aunt's expression darkened. Grandfather Tang and Tang Yu quickly left. They had to make arrangements for the family and head to the Ice Palace, but they could not let the rest of the family suspect them. There were still many things to be arranged. In the resort, after taking a shower, Lin Yi and Kong Xiaobo were chatting on the sofa. It feels like a dream. Thinking back to when you first transferred here and had a conflict with Zhong Pingliang, it is still fresh in my mind. In the blink of an eye, I have become a vice president of a company. This change is really big. Kong Xiaobo sighed. Hearing Kong Xiaobo's words, Lin Yi's heart was filled with emotions as well. Back then he was just an ordinary assassin, or rather a small bodyguard. In short, his job was similar to that of a bounty hunter and his life was uncertain. But now not only did he have his own company, but he also had the strength to challenge the noble houses. This was unimaginable in the past. At that time he was just a normal bodyguard protecting Yuning, the little princess of the hidden house Yu. Compared to Yuning, it felt like a cowherd and a weaver girl. But now with a shake of his body he dared to snatch food from the tiger's mouth. He stole a chi-gathering pill and even dared to step on their representative in the common world, the common houseu, and even asked them to send 2 concubines over. Life was like this, full of miracles and twists. No one could predict their own future. Xiaobo, have you thought about how to arrange for your university? Linny asked. I don't know yet, but I think I will find an economics school, put my name on it and get a certificate. Right now I want to focus on managing the company. When the time comes, if I am not capable enough, I will study for an MBA in business management. Xiaobo said. But I did get Fin to sign up for a night university so she can go study at night. She's different from me, she's better at quality inspection. I'm planning on getting her to get some certifications related to that, since our company needs people like that in the future. Target equals undefined. Chapter 16:12. Alright, since you've made up your mind, I won't say anything else. Linny nodded, a little regretful. It seemed like Kong Xiaobo had already walked on his own path. He couldn't spend his university years with Lin Yi anymore. Oh right, boss, Kong Mingming doesn't seem to have given up. I've seen him roping in people from the purchasing and quality control departments. It seems like he's also eyeing our painkiller formula. Kong Xiaobo said, although the purchasing and quality control departments don't have a detailed formula, I'm still afraid that they'll leak something and let them research something. Don't worry about him. Lin Yi said faintly, the most important core technologies for painkillers are in your and Fatty Lai's hands. He can research the rest if he wants. Be careful not to explode. Kong Xiaobo was stunned. Didn't I tell you guys that I bought some other drugs together? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, after buying they were all stored in the warehouse. Kong Xiaobo nodded. Could it be those drugs he put them together and made them explode? Lin Yi smiled. Boss, it can't be. You're really something. Kong Xiaobo wanted his men to be careful and not spill the beans, or he could just fire those who had contact with Kong Mingming. But after listening to Lin Yi's words, Kong Xiaobo was impressed. So boss, you had foresight. It's not foresight, it's just a coincidence. The medicinal ingredients that I asked you guys to buy are produced in small quantities every year. They're needed for the next drug that's on the market, so I bought them in advance. But if you mix them with the other ingredients, it'll easily explode. Lin Yi said. Kong Xiaobo clicked his tongue, sighing at Kong Ming's bad luck. The ingredients that he spent so much effort to get would probably explode after he made them. Then do we need to leak it to him? Kong Xiaobo asked after some hesitation. If he gives you money, just give him the list. Lin Yi smiled. Just like last time. Haha, okay. Kong Xiaobo was happy after getting Lin Yi's permission. Not only could he extort money from him, but he could also screw Kong Mingming over. Why not? In the other room, Meng Yao and Yushu were whispering on the bed after they finished showering. Shu, how did you feel when you kissed Lin Yi today? Meng Yao wanted to ask, but she was too shy to do so in front of Lin Yi. Hihi Yao sis, why don't you give it a try? Why should I give it a try? I would have done it if I wanted to. Meng Yao blushed. I don't want to, that's why I'm asking you. Oh, actually, you were the first one to kiss Shield Bro Yao Yao, did you forget? You guys kissed indirectly. Yushu said. Meng Yao's face darkened as she thought back to that indirect kiss. She'd only felt hatred and disgust for Lin Yi back then, and that was why she'd reacted so strongly. But now that she thought about it, it didn't really matter. Lin Yi didn't even care about her pee. Why would she care about Lin Yi's saliva? Meng Yao's face reddened even more when she thought about that incident. That was the most shameful experience Meng Yao had ever had in her life. What about that time? Meng Yao coughed. Forget it. It's fine if you don't want to say it. Yao Yao sis, don't be angry. I'll say it. Yushu looked at the blushing Meng Yao. Whoa Yao Yao sis, are you shy? What are you talking about? It's because I'm hot. Meng Yao argued. Are you going to say it or not? It's fine if you don't. Alright, I'll tell you. With that, Yushu planted a kiss on Meng Yao's lips. Meng Yao was still in a daze when Yushu said gleefully, that's it, now you get it, right? Meng Yao didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Are you the same as Lin Yi? Hey Yao Yao sis, you should try it yourself. I really don't understand. Yushu stopped fooling around. Forget it. Let's not talk about this. Meng Yao waved her hand. Shu, do you really like Lin Yi? Yushu started playing dumb again. What are you talking about? Answer me. Meng Yao said sternly. Of course I like him. Don't you like him too, Yao Yao sis? Yushu said seriously. Don't drag me into this. Meng Yao said. I'm asking you now. We'll talk about my stuff later. Then I like him. Yushu nodded. Then have you ever thought that Lin Yi already has Tang Yun and Feng Xiaoxiao by his side? Meng Yao seemed to be asking Yushu, but more importantly, it was a question she was asking herself. It was a question she had been struggling with. If she didn't reject him so much, would she be his girlfriend? Meng Yao thought about it, but there was no answer. There was no if in this world. It was all in the past. There was no use in ifs. It's not like there's another me, right? Yushu didn't seem to understand what Meng Yao meant at all. You won't be jealous? Meng Yao had no choice. She could only ask more clearly. Jealous? Yushu shook her head. If I was jealous, why would I let you be the main wife, Yao Yao sis? Meng Yao really didn't know how to communicate with Yushu's nonsensical answers. Sometimes Yushu looked smarter than anyone else, but other times, Yushu would just change the topic no matter how you tried to explain things to her. Yushu didn't want to understand. Sometimes Meng Yao really admired Yushu. This girl wasn't simple. She thought about what she wanted to think about and didn't think about what she didn't want to think about at all. Yao Yao sis, I actually understand what you're saying. Yushu suddenly changed her tone and put away the smile on her face. He said to Meng Yao. But sometimes thinking too much is a kind of pain. Tomorrow will have its own troubles tomorrow. Why worry about tomorrow? It's fine as long as we're happy today. I don't want to think too much. But what about your future? Is it really like what you said? Tang Yun will be the main wife, and you and Xiao Xiao will be the small wives? Meng Yao felt a little dizzy. What would happen to her then? Future? It's too far. Yushu sighed and smiled. I don't want to think about it, hee hee. *J. Chapter 16:13. The Mrs. Sick. Meng Yao looked at the carefree Yushu and felt a little envious. Go to sleep, it's getting late. I heard that you have to go hiking tomorrow. Yushu nodded, smiling bitterly in her heart. Sometimes she didn't like being like this. It was around midnight when Yushu got up to go to the washroom. When she got up, she accidentally touched Meng Yao's body. Yushu's body temperature was higher than a normal person's, but Meng Yao had burned her. Yushu jumped in fright. Yao 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 Yao, what's wrong? Yushu touched Meng Yao's forehead subconsciously. It was even scarier. Yushu quickly turned on the bedside lamp and dialed Lin Yi's number. Lin Yi was practicing when his phone rang. He quickly came back to reality and picked it up. Lin Yi paused when he saw the caller ID. She was calling him in the middle of the night. What was going on? Chill bro, come quick. Yao Yao deep view. Yushu couldn't catch her breath and only got halfway through her sentence when Lin Yi jumped in shock. Yao Yao wants? And she wants him to come quick? Lin Yi couldn't help but think of some evil things. But thinking was just thinking. Lin Yi subconsciously thought that Shu was joking. After all, Lin Yi knew Meng Yao's character very well. She wouldn't ask Yushu to call him in the middle of the night. With the Mrs. Soft Skin, she wouldn't ask Yushu for help even if she wanted to do something. And so Lin Yi quickly said, Shu, what's wrong? Take your time. What happened? Yao Yao sis. Yao Yao sis is going to burn to death. Yushu took a deep breath and said, Shield bro, come save her. She's having a fever. I'll be right there. Lin Yi guessed that it wasn't the case. He quickly put on his coat and got ready to leave after hearing that Meng Yao was sick. At this time, Kong Xiaobo was also awakened. He opened his eyes in confusion and looked at Lin Yi. He asked curiously, Boss, what's wrong? Yao Yao is sick. I'll go over and take a look. You sleep, Lin Yi said to Kong Xiaobo. Do you need my help? Kong Xiaobo subconsciously asked. It's fine. Lin Yi sighed. Meng Yao was a girl after all, and it wouldn't be convenient for Kong Xiaobo to go. He and the miss, on the other hand, didn't have to avoid each other anymore. So much had happened after all. All right, I'll wait here. If you need me to buy any medicine, just tell me, boss, and I'll go. Kong Xiaobo nodded. He rushed to Yushu's room and knocked on the door. It didn't take long for the door to open. Yushu was only wearing a thin silk pajamas, and her body was faintly discernible. Under the dim light, it made one's imagination run wild. However, Lin Yi only took one look and suppressed the evil thoughts in his heart. This kind of situation often happened at home, and Lin Yi had practiced to the point of turning a blind eye to it. It wasn't that Yushu didn't pay attention, but she made sure that there was only Lin Yi outside before opening the door. From her point of view, Lin Yi and Yao Yao had already seen everything. What was there to avoid? Of course, if Kong Xiaobo had come with him, Yushu wouldn't have opened the door so quickly. Shield bro, come quickly. Yushu closed the door and pulled Lin Yi into the room. Lin Yi followed Yushu into the room. Yushu wanted to turn on the light, but Lin Yi waved his hand and refused. This kind of dim bedside lamp was enough for Lin Yi to see clearly. There was no need to turn on the light, it would wake Meng Yao up. No need to turn on the light, I'll take a look first. Lin Yi quickly walked to Meng Yao's bedside. Meng Yao was also wearing silk pajamas, very thin. Because Meng Yao was lying on the bed, the 2 points on her chest were faintly discernible. Lin Yi only glanced at them unintentionally, and it was hard for him to move his eyes away. Although Lin Yi spent a lot of time with them, he usually wouldn't go upstairs, and Meng Yao and Yushu wouldn't wear 2 revealing pajamas downstairs. But right now Lin Yi's breathing was rapid. Shield bro, you treat Yao Yao first, you can look after her when she's better. Yushu quickly reminded when she saw where Lin Yi was looking at. Ahem. Lin Yi didn't expect his actions to be noticed by Yushu, and he was embarrassed. He coughed twice and tried to explain himself. I'm just checking if there's anything wrong with Yao Yao's chest. I hope it's not pneumonia or emphysema. Lin Yi was just bullshitting. He didn't have X-ray vision, so how could he have seen it? But it was enough to fool Yushu a little to ease the awkwardness. Oh. Yushu realized that she'd misunderstood Lin Yi. That's right, Shield bro can look at it anytime he wants. There's no need to look at it now. There's plenty of opportunities at home. Shield bro, do you want me to take off Yao Yao sis's clothes before you take a look? It's not good, right? It's not pneumonia. Pfft. Lin Yi almost fainted at Yushu's words. He quickly waved his hand. Not yet, I'll take a look first. Oi. Yushu was in too much of a rush and didn't even realize that her words were inappropriate. Lin Yi took in a deep breath, calming himself down. He moved his eyes away and started feeling Meng Yao's pulse like a doctor. It's just a cold, Lin Yi said with a sigh of relief. It's not a big deal. Did she catch a cold today? Yeah, Yao Yao and I turned the air conditioner to the max when you were neutralizing the poison, Shield bro. He might have caught a cold then. Yushu said after some thought. It's been hard on you guys. Lin Yi sighed as he took out his needles and used his pure qi to disinfect the poison. He poked Yao Yao's body a few times. She'll be fine after a while. It's not a big deal. With that, Lin Yi picked up his phone and dialed Kong Xiaobo's number. Boss, what do you need me to do? Kong Xiaobo was on standby, so he picked up immediately after Lin Yi's call. Go to the pharmacy in the resort and buy a box of cold capsules. If you don't have any, grab some herbs yourself. Ephedra, cassia twig, bramble mustard, scutularia, bitter almond, notopterygium. Lin Yi listed off a list of herbs. Okay, I'll go right now. Kong Xiaobo nodded. Yushu rubbed her eyes and sat up. What time is it? Didn't you say we're going hiking today? Can we make it in time? It's still early, it's only 8 o'clock. Didn't you say we'll meet at 9? Meng Yao said, thank you for yesterday. Yao Yao sis, why are you thanking me? Yushu said, thank you for Shield bro. Yao Yao sis, Shield bro has saved you so many times, have you ever thought about repaying him with your body? You better take off your clothes and let him check his body. Meng Yao curled her lips. Liang bro and I will lead everyone up the mountain later, but please be careful. There might be grass snakes on the mountain, but grass snakes aren't poisonous. There might be venomous snakes too, so if you get bitten by a grass snake or a venomous snake, please inform me or Liang bro immediately. Xiaofu said. Liang bro was worried that something might happen to you guys, so he learned some first aid knowledge in the wild, including how to deal with a snake bite. Liang bro is now a professional drug user and he can suck out snake venom in no time. Liang bro really cares about us. The students were all touched by Xiaofu's words. They didn't expect Pin Liang to not only spend money to invite them here, but he was also so thoughtful. Lin Yi listened to Xiaofu's words, a faint look of confusion flashing in his eyes. He didn't know what this guy was up to this time. Behind the resort was a small mountain. It wasn't too tall and it was half man-made, half natural. But for this resort it was a good place to relax. Today Boss Zhu deliberately found an excuse to bring Chen Shi to the mountain behind the resort. The reason was very simple. The people who climbed the mountain must have brought a lot of drinks. After drinking they could pick up a lot of mineral water bottles and drink bottles. Chen Shi used to follow Boss Zhu to the beach, amusement park and other places to pick up scraps on the weekends, so she didn't suspect anything this time. Moreover, it was said that selling grass snakes here could earn a lot of money. There were many local villagers selling grass snakes near the mountain. Grass snakes weren't poisonous and many tourists bought them as pets to play with, so the sales were quite good. Boss Zhu had asked about this before, and that was why he decided to sell grass snakes here. After thinking about it, he realized that it wasn't easy to get a grass snake that had eaten the 5-step powder to bite Lin Yi. It was a bit complicated, so it was easier to get Lin Yi to buy a grass snake and bite him. Of course, Boss Zhu was afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't buy the snake from him, so he had Sihua bring a bunch of gangsters over to threaten and bribe them, chasing away all the other villagers who were selling the snakes. So Boss Zhu became the only one selling grass snakes here. Boss Zhu wasn't afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't buy it either. Since he knew Chen Shi, he should at least show some support since she was selling snakes here, right? Of course, Boss Zhu wasn't afraid that the grass snake wouldn't bite Lin Yi because other than the 5-step powder, he also fed it another kind of medicine, which made the grass snakes go crazy and bite people as soon as they were caught. Grandpa Zhu selling grass snakes, can we earn money? Chen Shi was a bit puzzled. They had never done any other business other than picking up scraps, but this time Grandpa Zhu was selling grass snakes for the first time, which made Chen Shi feel strange. Yes. It's okay if we don't earn money, we can just try. This grass snake is a gift from your grandpa's friend anyway, it's free. Boss Zhu said. Oh, that's good. Chen Shi nodded and didn't ask any more questions. Pin Liang and Xiaofu walked in front and the rest of the class followed behind. Xiaofu looked at the street along the way and noticed that there were quite a few souvenir vendors, but there were no vendors selling grass snakes. Xiaofu was puzzled. Something wasn't right? There were a lot of grass snakes on the street when he came to investigate, but why weren't there any today? Could it be that these people couldn't catch a single snake? Or was it bought by a restaurant to make a snake feast? You're tuning in to the Romantic Tales YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.